Part 13 of the first number of Art in Australia, 1916. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain.
Lionel Lindsay by Sidney Ure Smith. Illustrated by the Old Education Department, Mezzotint, and The Edge of the World, Aquatint. John Shirlow's etching of the sawmills inspired both Lionel Lindsay and Ernest Moppet with the desire to etch. That was in Melbourne 20 years ago. They studied P.G. Hamerton's book on etching in the Melbourne Library, and at once made experiments in the art. Moppet etched landscapes and a few street scenes, while Lionel's first etchings were of pirates, very deeply bitten pirates, I am informed, for the action of nitric acid on copper was not yet understood. Lionel ceased etching until he went to London, where he produced 2 plates, Kipling's house and that of Henry James. These he did simply to show an American the process. He came to Sydney 20 years ago, and fascinated by the wealth of material in the rocks, he made numerous pencil studies, many of which he has since etched. He worked 3 or 4 years before exhibiting. He first showed his etchings with the Society of Artists in 1907, the exhibition at which Hilda made his debut. Lionel had no idea of making money with his etchings, and he marked all his prints at a very modest price. Arthur Streeton, who was in Sydney at the time, saw them, and was greatly taken with the quality of the work, and strongly advised Lindsay to raise his prices. The etchings were much admired, and a number of prints were bought. A little later in the year, when the Society had its exhibition in Melbourne, Lionel Lindsay scored a great success, 75 prints being sold there. As a matter of fact, before this time there had been very little interest taken in etching in Australia. Hop had produced some interesting plates in Sydney years ago, so had Julian Ashton, Fullwood, and 2 or 3 others. Hopkins was very interested in the art, and had tried hard to inspire others to do something with a beautiful medium, which he certainly did for a time. But nobody seemed able to keep up his enthusiasm. Shirlow has etched steadily for a long time, but the sales for etchings were never very large, and it is only comparatively lately that Shirlow's work has been fully appreciated. Lionel Lindsay created a revival and a new interest in the art in Australia. In the Society of Artists exhibition, Lionel's prints were mostly aquatints. The Edge of the World, reproduced in this book, is one of them, and is, I think, one of the finest aquatints etched in Australia. He looks on this plate as his mascot, as it was the first plate to sell right out. His interest in etching this plate was so great that he completed the whole of the biting in 16 hours, working from 10 a.m. till 2 in the morning. There is a marked individuality in Lindsay's aquatints. He has always been attracted to romantic subjects, and his rendering of them is always interesting. There is a deep feeling of poetry in them that is always a rare quality. His work has not, perhaps, the academic polish of the English school, but when Lindsay talks, we are interested and want to listen. Another man may speak very nicely, but if he has no thoughts to express, our interest flags and we are bored. Lindsay's etchings never bore one. They are full of character and life. Excellently observed, dexterously needled, and carefully bitten, his plates will remain as very valuable records. Lindsay displays a genuine feeling for antiquity in his old buildings, and his interest in character is expressed in his figures, which have a Dickensian touch. He has produced a greater number of plates than any Australian etcher, over 100 in all. His etchings are well known in Sydney and Melbourne, and his work has found a wide and appreciative audience.
End of Part 13. End of the first number of Art in Australia, 1916.